So yeah, man. So I see we had some news hitting out there.
Yeah, man. I figured it's a 1 minute clip. I figured we play it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. Just being able to break it down a little bit. I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
Okay.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly, on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys. Thanks.
Mm, mm. Wow.
What's your thoughts on that, bro? It does seem like this theme this past year of successful black men getting caught up in sex scandals and this like it's lawsuit and seem like money and just trying to like tear them down. Um, like, do we need to have protect black men cause that we start or successful black men? Like, I know it's so many different ways, to see this, but what's your thoughts on it?
My thoughts is that you know me, bro. I don't really make excuses for us as men if we don't have one to be made. So it's in one side, it's like I could see it's a shakedown.
Yeah.
But my thing about it is I don't like when it's just like pulled out of thin air, like it never happened. Like a woman come out and oh, he did this to me, and you never touched her. But I've been saying two individuals like Shannon Sharpe, you need to be settled down by now. Like, why are you still putting yourself out there by sleeping with strippers and OnlyFans models? It's like if what the saying say, if you lie with pigs, it's what do you expect? Like if you sleeping with an OnlyFans model, she have no self-respect.
Yeah.
She has no decency, no dignity. She gonna lie on you. As soon as you try to cut her off, as soon as you don't pay her what she want, she gonna lie on you. Like there's no honor amongst thieves. It'd be totally different if he was sleeping with a classy, respectable Google executive and she come out and go to line on him. Now it's like, oh wow, that's crazy. She just pulling a lie out of nowhere. But if you sleeping with people who carry themselves like the scum of the earth, that's how they gonna move. Like you got to expect that. And so at him at 55, 56 years old, it's like I don't feel sorry for him because he ought to know better. At this age, he ought to know better not to be sleeping with that type of woman and not to feel like there's gonna be any type of loyalty or decency with that type of woman. Like that's common sense right there. But here's the thing though, bruh, is I'm out here in the industry and that situation, like what he going through, I done already tried to reach out over that side
Mm,
and say, listen,
mm,
be careful. And I can't say too much on it, but
yeah.
they brushed me off. Oh, don't worry about it. And it wasn't for that young lady. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
this is a situation where I be trying to warn these guys because me being I would say like the people who are quote unquote life coaches, relationship coaches who have a following the size of mine, like over 3 million people online, a lot of them don't do one-on-ones. And then the ones who do, a lot of them not married. And so when the women want somebody to talk to, they hire me. And I'll go, and sometimes the woman come to me asking me, can I talk to the guy to help them, whatever, come to terms on their relationship or situationship. And I be trying to get the word to them boys and say,
Yeah.
hey, calm down,
Yeah.
calm down. And here's the crazy thing for me is, bruh, is I seen the day before I seen that, not that video, but that he was getting sued, I seen that he's expected to get $100 million podcast deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, listen, podcast organization, y'all need to give me and Caleb that. Give us 10 million. Because we ain't out hearing no scandals right now. Give us 10, give us 1 million. We'll work with you. And so, bruh, think about that.
Yeah.
100 million, and then the next day, I want 50.
Half of it already, man. Ain't even married and I want half.
And this is the thing. He's saying this Tony Busby. Tony Busby is the lawyer, right? I
Yeah.
think Tony Busby is the lawyer. That man got a Tony Busby. Tony Busby could lose his license and all that. Tony Busby ain't just he just you can't say, oh, he just making this all up. Because if he doing frivolous lawsuits, he could lose his license. He know that. He doing this because he know he got some basis. Ain't nobody finna go to all that law school and risk their license, risk they whole career. He doing that because he know he got enough basis to at least get it in the court and get some type of little attention. And he also know that he may get a settlement. But the one thing about football players, they've been hit in the head so much that CTE might not let them settle. They might be like, I'm finna fight. But a lot of people settle like Pete Diddy did.
Yeah.
See,
Because
see
even if they
who
don't get 50, like they happy if they get 5 million out of the
if
deal.
she get 5, she good.
Yeah, printing money out of thin air, man.
You read the text messages she was sending them?
No, I ain't see that.
She said, give me 25K a cheek.
And she an OnlyFans model, so this is business for her. This has been business from the jump. It's just bad business for him, and she was waiting because she could see that climb. That's the thing that I don't think a lot of guys realize. A lot of guys that are on that success trajectory is just like, man, you gotta be careful where you lay, man, because it's some women that are professionals that been able to spot out, oh, this dude gonna be somebody. He gonna be successful, like and they target him. Even like on college campuses, there's certain clubs where or like little organizations where girls get together and like, oh, he probably gonna go to the league and try and get pregnant by that guy while in college. But I got two questions for you, bro. One, do you think that Shannon Sharpe will learn from this? Because he had another like incident that came out. Wasn't a lawsuit, but I think he went live or something, another like sex scandal type ordeal a while back. So do you think he'll learn from this and change his ways? And then also too, why is it that you feel like, whenever you tried to like, hey bro, like trying to look out for you, why do you feel like some guys, like, do you think it's personal, or do you feel like that some guys just can't take wisdom? Like, is it a social status thing, or is it just like, man, I'm good, man, I got money, like I don't, who are you? Don't try and tell me nothing. Like, I'm good. I'm such and such.
Exactly. And with Shannon, I reached out to, one of his very close associates and business partner, and that person brushed me off. And there may not have been any merit with the situation that was brought to me, but just the fact that it came to me, had it been presented to him, it probably would have just been like a warning shot. Like, hey, stuff starting to circulate. How you moving? You
Yeah.
might want to slow down. And so that's the thing. It's like if I'm out here moving a certain way and somebody come to me about one of these situations and be like, hey man, I heard this right here about you. I might look at that situation and be like, okay, that's not that deep, that's not that big. But if you hearing about that, what about this next situation, this other situation? And so he probably was thinking nothing of it. But here's the thing: the lady who came out against Jay-Z and somebody else, and it was thrown out, like it was frivolous. That right there shows these women that it's a lot of scrutiny. You ruin your name, you ruin your brand, you ruin your life if you come out with just a full blatant lie. So for her to come out with this, she may think she got some truth. She may think she got enough truth for her to take this chance going at a giant like that. Now, Shannon Sharpe is not as big as Jay-Z. He not on the level of Jay-Z. Jay-Z got the power to get somebody silenced, to get something thrown out, to get something, whatever, because of how high up he is. Shannon Sharpe ain't there yet. He's getting ready to go to that level over the next 5 years or so. And so his situation might not turn out the same way. But my thing is as men, especially over the age of 25, definitely 30, definitely 35, we should be nowhere near even being able to be put in those kind of allegations. Because at the least, we should be in a monogamous relationship if we having sex. It's like at least be monogamous, and at least be monogamous with somebody. If you're not gonna do it God's way, at least be monogamous with somebody that got class and respect. He literally sleeping with a prostitute. Like he posted on his Instagram the text messages and stuff, and how she talking to him, and how she was texting him. But what he's not realizing is that we all are men, we all are adults. So just because you've had consensual intercourse with somebody don't mean you can't later have non-consensual. So that's what she going on. She's saying, yeah, I did all that, I said all that, but this time right here I said no. And so that's what she trying to say. Because I just took a whole course to get my gold license as a basketball coach for USA basketball, and they got a whole course for us on that. And it says, basically it was saying that consent is not forever. You got to get consent every single time. And so that's what she trying to hang them on. She trying to say, yeah, we did that. That's all consensual. But this time right here, that wasn't consensual what you did. And here's the thing. When all that stuff get out there and you got to read all of that and you got to see all of that, the way brands are in this cancel culture, if you're not an undeniable talent, you're going to lose some opportunities. He might not lose the opportunity that he already has, that he already in, but I guarantee you, as big as his name is, it was 2-3 companies at a board meeting talking about approaching him with millions. And they never gonna go public and say we was getting ready to offer $2 million for a national commercial with Mercedes because we like his suits. But now we're not gonna do that because we just don't even be caught up in these allegations, even though we don't believe they true. They also cannot say they don't believe they true, because now that's victim shaming. Now that's, oh, this why women don't come out. So on the corporate side of things, corporate responsibility and them keeping their name clean is just like me and you. If a dude, it come out he being sued for rape and it hit the national news, and then he come to you and say, hey, Caleb, let's link up and do a podcast. Even though you believe him, you might, it's too soon. Like, let's wait 3 years, 5 years. Like, let me see what you do with your life. Let me see that, if that, let me see that ain't true. Like, give me some time. Like, I knew, because it might be a complete lie.
Yeah.
Unless it come out that it's an absolute complete lie, just for the sake of not being guilty by association, you're probably not going to do that collaboration.
Yeah. And that's the tough part, bro. It's like what if it do come out that it's a lie, or just situations like that that are similar and it's a lie, it's still hard for that man to ever recover, and his character, his representation in the media, just whatever, to ever be the same, you know?
It'll
That's
never be the
that's what
same.
sucks. And it's like, what repercussions happen to those women in those cases where it is a lie and it is just a money grab, you know?
She need to be put in jail. If she lying and that's a money grab, they need to create something to where if you tell that kind of lie on somebody, you need to go to jail. If the charge for rape is, 5 years, 10 years, she need to go do 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
That's what they need to put in place, because that then it'll silence the lies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then only those who telling the truth gonna come out.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a situation recently. It's a guy that I know, and he's in a certain industry, and he's managing this artist, right? And this artist was sleeping around with a bunch of different girls, and in the streets and whatnot. And long story short, one of the disgruntled women came to this guy that had nothing to do with it. He just managing, it's just business for him. He just managing this artist. And she's like, "Hey, I want you to get in between what he got going on, like this other girl, and make him break up so he'll get with me." And he was just like, "Man, I'm staying out of that. I don't want nothing to do with that. That ain't none of my business. This is just business between me and him. What he got going on with women ain't. Long story short, she started to come after him. She made a fake Instagram page and started posting fake allegations and tagging his business and him in it, and he had nothing to do with the situation, right? And it's just like, come on, like where do we draw the line? And it's one of those things. Now his representation, his character and who he is on the line. And it's just
Mhm.
like, man, this ain't that have nothing to do with him. But just because she coming out, she's a woman, she's saying all this crazy wild stuff, it's just automatically believed and assumed. And she's just saying some outlandish things, and it really shook him to his core, because he's scared, he nervous, he like, bro, like, how do I handle the situation? What do I do? But it's we always just kind of, and we should, I'm not saying not to believe women, but where do we draw the line? And then where's the repercussions for like those that do lie? And we talked about this before, but like the whole Bill Cosby example with Cardi B, where she's talking about how she, used to drug guys. Like, it was kind of like a joke and laughed about, and women celebrated it. People celebrate it. But then on the flip side, when it comes to a woman and it's a man, it's like, oh man, throw the book at him. He needs to go to jail. He needs to this or that. But it's just like, come on, we got to see both sides. But that's just the world. The world never plays fair. And I think that's the biggest lesson to take away from this. I think this is why it's important for guys to keep their hands clean and their heart pure. And there's a path. There's a reason that guys say, hey, stay away from this. Like, do this, but do it within the confines that I've instructed for you to do it. Because if you don't, that broad road will always lead to destruction. Yeah, that straight and narrow path is hard. Especially, I can imagine having that much money, being an ex-player, like all the different things. You got women coming at you constantly. And if you're not girded up with truth, man, you just lust all day, every day coming at you that you're trying to combat.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, man, it's crazy to me, and I'm hard on myself in that sense of like I don't even want to be associated with them women. Like, other than as a life coach, if I'm coaching somebody who say they trying to change their life, and then sometimes I realize they ain't trying to change their life. They really just coming to me for proximity to see if I'm gonna shoot my shot. And
Wow.
then when I see that they ain't trying to make no changes, then I go ahead and get my distance and move on with my life,
Yeah.
because that's what the Jezebels do. They wait in the wings. They want weak men, vulnerable men, empty men, dumb men, not in the literal sense, but they want men who don't have spiritual discernment. They want men. I think it's in the book of Proverbs, maybe chapter 5, where it's talking about these women who wait in the wings, like they waiting, seeking to devour. Like,
Yeah.
they whisper sweet nothings with them supple lips to lure you in, and then they slit your throat. They rob you. They basically was describing Cardi B, what she said she used to do. That's in the book of Proverbs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saying you walking down the street, she's sitting there, hey, what's up? Come on in. My husband gone. He gone for the weekend. Come on in. Boom. Wallet gone, money gone, done.
Yeah.
If you don't get killed, you still get castrated emotionally because you just got robbed and you can't tell nobody. As a man, imagine how many men have been robbed by a prostitute, a stripper, a OnlyFans person, and he can't go tell nobody because he don't want nobody to know that he was sleeping with her, that he got lured into her bed. So he got to get up that next morning. She gone from the hotel. His Rolex gone, his wallet gone, his credit cards gone, all his cash gone, and he can't say nothing because his wife gonna be like, huh? So now he got to go punch himself in the eye and act like a dude took his watch on the street corner. Imagine how many times that happened, bro, on a daily basis. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the thing of it. It's like I honestly I cannot relate because I even though I was out there, I still had standards.
Yeah.
Certain women, if she was nasty, I need a challenge. I don't want no easy layup. No, I
Right.
need a challenge. If
Right.
she
That's
was,
a red flag.
yeah, if she was nasty, if she
And
was
if
a
she
strip,
approach you, if a woman approach you, if a girl DM me, then that's a no go. Nah,
bro,
that's too easy.
I ain't never mess with no stripper, no sex worker, none of that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you turned out. You have been turned over to a reprobate mind. You done been turned over to a reprobate mind. And I remember one girl I met a long time ago. She tried to get me to send her a explicit picture of myself. And she was like, hey, I'm gonna send you one. And she was just under the guise of, oh, she wanted to get to know me. But really what it was is I had just started building my brand. So she came like she was trying to get coaching. And then all of a sudden one day I opened my phone, I got a picture and it's her in her panties. And I'm like, hey sis, what's going on? She like, send me one of you. And I'm like, what? And then she like, hey, I want to F you. And started talking nasty, how that girl was talking to Shannon in the messages. I say, wow. Like some people, that happened to me a second time. And that second time, I was at a dinner meeting with Ray J, the singer, the Brandy brother,
Yeah.
and WAC 100. And my phone was on the table, face up, just like it is now. And that was back before iPhone had where you could like it just say a message. It's like whatever you get sent, it show up on the screen.
Yeah.
And it was a young lady, one of my clients that I had only coached twice in a thong. And she told me, she said, I want you. You gonna sleep with me. She told me I'm gonna eat her. She said, you gonna eat this pee. I say, what? I call on the phone. I say, sis, what's going on? Like, what you going through? She said, I'm gonna be in New York in a little while with my girls, and you're gonna fly up there and you're gonna eat this pee. I said, sis, I never see you in person. And she said, yes, you will. I get what I want. And that was my last time talking to her. It was almost like a demon came over her.
Yeah.
But see, if I wasn't walking with the Lord, oh, would have dove off in there.
On the way.
Would have been Derek Jason. Right? All in there. Not to call no names, but that's a clear example. If you not walking with the Lord, you gonna fall for it.
Yeah.
Because it ain't just men chasing down these women. A lot of these women is preying on men,
Yeah.
setting it up, trying to trap you.
Yeah.
And I remember she told me on the first call, she said, I'm attracted to powerful men. I wasn't even powerful yet. Like I was an influencer. Like my brand was like where your brand at.
Yeah.
Like doing the work in the thick of it, but building.
Yeah.
And she came at me. She was older than me. She was an older lady. Bruh, she was married with a child, a newborn. but she was from that walk of life,
Yeah,
that Hollywood lost industry,
yeah. Sex
no
craze.
soul.
Yeah.
I learned the lesson, boy.
Yeah, man. How many times, like you said in Proverbs, the story of Joseph and Potiphar's wife, but you got to flee from those things. And with Joseph, this happened before he made it and was the leader. You know, he done went through all of these different things, and then this test comes, and you flee and you run, and now you get put back into prison. You know, but
Right,
where he ended though, where God was able to elevate him because he shows that, hey, you know, like your reputation matters to you, and I can use you. You're a vessel. You know, you're something I could use, somebody I could use for the kingdom, because you're willing to flee and to run. You left your coat. You know, you ran out your clothes because you was like, nah, I ain't doing this. You know,
right.
but man, that like I'm glad you brought that up about how women prey on men, because we don't talk about that. We always make it seem like it's just like evil, good and evil exists in both genders. It's just the world, you know. It's not that all men are this, all women are that. It's everybody, you know.
Mm,
Anybody can get a spirit on them. Like you said, it felt like a demon was on her. That's exactly what it is. You know, like
mm,
you said, that Jezebel spirit, that very cunning, that very seducing, like siren type spirit on people, and it's a real thing, and it goes both ways, you know.
mm-hmm.
But we oftentimes just like brush it to the side whenever it has something to do with the man, and the woman is the one that's the pursuer. We just like, man, you tripping, you know. Like if a man comes and says, hey man, I was raped by a woman, you like, man, whatever, you was raped, yeah, all right, whatever, you know. But that's how we'll do. But if a woman says, hey, a man raped me, we gonna turn hell loose, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's interesting, bro. But I think it's just a reminder too, just as for men in general, like just to be careful. It's a when you don't do things God's way, there's always gonna be a repercussion, you know. But
I'm
that's one
hoping.
thing just growing up, my dad used to always say is just be a man of character, be a man that has a good reputation. And I got in trouble, man. I got in trouble when I was like 13, 14, being sneaky, being fast, and I got caught. And man, my dad made me get up in front of the whole church and apologize to everybody, man, because he came to me, he said, son, he's like, man, you don't know who all know this. You know, he's like, man, you want to, if you really sorry, you need to, you know, you need to come clean, you know, and admit your fault. Say, hey, I'm wrong and I apologize. And boy, I was furious with my dad at that point in time. But now looking back on it, as a man now, I understand like a man's character and a man's word and who he is, his reputation is everything. And once that's gone, you know. But when you can fall on your sword, he was teaching me at a young age, man, you got to fall on your sword. Let that ego go. You didn't have no ego whenever you did what you did. So now don't let that ego exist now, you know? Like go ahead
Mm,
and fess up to it. And so, man, it's real, but I hope like more brothers pay attention to this. Like, man, choose character over that, man. Or like you
mm,
said, do it the right way, be monogamous, have a wife, settle down, you know, do it the
mm-hmm.
right way, you know.
Mm.
But man, that lust and temptation is just a forever trap. And then right when you just get $100 million deal, like, man, that's gotta suck. Yesterday was probably his highest day, and then today you gotta make a video and post this and put it out. And
And you
like
know,
you
no, he ain't get the deal yet.
he just announced it though.
I don't know if he got the deal yet. I
Oh,
seen the
okay.
post said that he expected
Oh,
that that
expected.
that he being
Dang.
off. He about to get offered $100 million deal. Like he
Dang.
expected to
It ain't
to
even
get it.
confirmed yet. He
It
ain't even.
wasn't even confirmed. What? So
Oh, that's that hurt.
boy, so now I'm wondering like, was that even real? Like was that like did that set him up? But let me see. Yeah, yeah.
Bro, what's your advice for those men who have changed and do have a past, right? Where they did some things they're not proud of in our past, because we all got a past. What advice would you give them to say, like, all right, this is what you need to do before you do X, Y, and Z? You know, because maybe they got a heart and like, man, they want to do the right thing. They want to do what you're doing. And now they want to tell the game, or they're married now and they got a different perspective, right? Like, how do we provide grace for those people? And then what should they do before they step up and try and enter a public platform?
Moses and Saul, who became Paul, kind of laid that blueprint for us of service and obedience. And I think the mistake that a lot of men with a past do is they ride in like a knight in shining armor instead of like a bruised and battered warrior
Mm.
who has war stories. And so I think that we should all tell our war stories. And that's honestly what has been my shield is before I became someone that could be looked up to, I became someone who was looked down on by confessing my flaws. When I went on Oprah, I was telling us a domestic violence situation of when I put hands on my ex-girlfriend in college. I was telling the story and I trumped the story up. And I said, and so Oprah introduced me as, and he beat her until she bled. That's how she did it. But the way I wrote the story, so I grabbed her by a shirt. And when I grabbed her, because I caught her cheating and she had caught herpes. And she was sleeping with me unprotected when she didn't have a breakout. And then she had a breakout. So to God be the glory, I never caught it. But that right there sent me over the edge. And so, and then when I went to her room, she was on the phone with her ex, laughing and kikiing. And we had been together. Her name was tattooed on me. My name was tattooed on her. And when she opened the door, I grabbed her. And I always had like kind of nails, and my finger scratched her. And so I wrote that in my poem when I was pitching myself to Oprah, and I saw blood. I was talking about that scratch, but I had to trump it up because I remember reading Edgar Allan Poe in school, and he used to write these real like deep, gruesome poems or like intense. And so I wrote it like that, trying to catch the producer attention so I could get on Oprah. And boy, I paid for it because they made me read the email on air. But to God be the glory, they never aired it again. It was a live airing, and it was almost like God said, that was your crucifixion. Like that was your, like you showed that you are humble and you willing to be a servant, a humble servant.
Yeah.
And so what happened is after I did that, men started doing it the wrong way. Like when I first Googled one of the relationship coaches that's big today, he had a mug shot on Google for domestic violence. I've never heard him tell that story, and anybody I mentioned that to, they had no clue.
Mm.
And so instead of him telling what happened with you and that woman
Yeah.
that led you into want to study love and relationships to talk about it, why not just tell that story? Because I would say 6 out of 10 relationships have some type of physical interaction, even if it's just pushing and shoving. And so it's like, we grown. We not finna be shocked
Yeah.
that you got into a tussling match with your woman,
Yeah.
or she slapped you and you slapped her back, like whatever it is. We ain't finna be shocked. We grown.
Yeah.
And so, but he never told his story. And somebody said, hey, you know such and such? I was like, no, I haven't heard of him. He was like, yeah, he do what you do. I Google him. This was probably 2014, something like that, 2015. I Google him, first thing pop up, boop, mug shot. Got on a white t-shirt, in a mug shot. I clicked on it, because all that stuff be public record. Clicked on it. It said domestic violence or something like that, domestic dispute. And I'm like, wow. So this man out here giving advice, and he done got arrested. Now, it could have been one of them had to go to jail. It could have been she attacked him, and the police were called, and they 9 out of 10 times gonna take the man. And so it could have been that. It could have been that. But even a guy I met who does financial education, he has 6 domestic violence charges. He talk about them. He showed the mug shots. He talk about them, what he did. And I think that's what a man has to do. Like, hey, this is what I've done.
Yeah.
This is what I've been through. And I think that was the mistake Steve Harvey made. He just came out, went to give him relationship advice, but the general public, we didn't know he was on his 3rd marriage. when he was giving that advice. And so then when it come out, it's like, oh wow, you a hypocrite. Like, why you ain't tell us what went wrong in them first 2 marriages?
Yeah.
Instead of just giving advice like you just this wise sage, tell us what went wrong in them first 2 marriages. What did you do wrong?
Yeah.
And then guys start trying to allude to it loosely. But man, I went on Oprah and told the story, and I put it in a book. My first book, What Daddy Never Told His Little Girl. And so then at that point, it's like the devil can't expose you because you already exposed yourself.
Yeah.
So what I call it is take your skeletons out the closet, put clothes on them, and send them in the field to work.
Yeah. That like you always say, turn that mess into a message.
Yeah,
And
that's what
that
we got to do. We can't hide from it. And what we got to realize is everybody human.
yeah.
Every
Yeah.
now and then I
Yeah.
see a woman say, ugh, Tony, that's disgusting. You slept with over 100 women. Ugh, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like, oh, yeah, so did your husband. So
Yeah.
did your ex-boyfriend,
Yeah.
or came close or tried to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but it's like when they hear it, it be shocking. But yet now they know that what you sharing is valid because you got
Yeah.
real life experience.
And it should show what your life was before Christ. Like you weren't always saved. You weren't always this prim and proper person. And that's what made me like a couple things that I just learned with you. I remember one time, like some years ago, this girl I went to college with DM'd you. It was just like, I guess I slept with one of her homegirls or something. It's like I didn't even know her either. Was the crazy thing, but it just go to show you how far your name travels and what you do. I guess is private sex, but public scrutiny. But she DM'd you and you sent me the screenshot and you was just like, bro, like this is why you got to stay focused, man, and just keep moving forward because some people only want to remember you from where they knew you, not where you are today in your growth.
I
And that's
remember
just
that.
always been a reminder for me. And then it was always subconsciously like this fear too. That's why I realized, we talked last episode about just being obedient and doing the work and how I'll just kind of stop when I see that like my brand is growing. I'm like, all right, let me step back just because I know I have a past, and subconsciously that's something I've been holding on to. Cause I used to tell you all the time, like, bro, I'll just work in the back scenes, help you out, help you grow. I play number two role. I'm not trying to be on camera. But it's just like, no, like my mess is my message. I can talk about my journey as a single man because these are the mistakes that I've made. This is what I'm still learning. I haven't arrived or got it all together. I still need God every single day throughout this process. Like if it was just Caleb himself, the flesh is not a good man, right? But the God within me, that's what people need to see is just the renewal, the new birth. Your life has changed. Like, yeah, I used to be like this, and I'm still capable of doing those same things if I take a stupid pill and go back to living a lukewarm life. But it's God in me and my choice and my willingness to serve God and say, God, renew me. God, take the lust away from me. God, help me. Because as a man, that's been my biggest battle, bro. It's like, man, while I'm alone, that imposter syndrome, like, man, you was just, you know, like you when you was with this girl or when you was in college, like those memories will want to like try and come back. Like, who do you think you are talking about this? You know? And it's nobody else saying this, but it's me myself. And that's always like kept me back as a man. Like, man, I don't want to talk. I don't want to tell my story. Like, I'm not worthy. Who am I? But like you said, Moses, a murderer, Saul, a murderer, right? But when God really changes your heart and you make that shift, you got to really stay there and stay grounded. But that's one thing that I can admit, man. That's why just because of my past, I'm like, man, I don't want to talk. I don't want to say nothing because I'm shamed. I'm embarrassed because I was raised the right way, right? I come from a good home, but I chose to go astray. But
Mm.
don't we all, you know?
Yeah. And that's even more of a testimony of how the adversary he goes after and attacks those who was raised the right way. People always say pastors' kids are the worst, but don't think about why do you think that is?
Right.
Because a pastor's kid is under the most spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
The Satan don't want an atheist child. He already got him. He
Mm-hmm.
want God's child. He want the pastor's child. That's why the pastor's child get pregnant at 16 or get somebody pregnant at 16. That's why the pastor's child go to jail. That's why the pastor's
Yeah.
child get kicked out of school or whatever it may be, because the adversary see that light. He see that power. And so he do everything he can to attack that, to try to put it out. And so that's why we got derailed because of spiritual warfare. Because
Yep.
when you in a house that's full of prayer and all of that, that's what the devil want to be.
Yeah.
He don't want to be there bothering nobody that ain't talking to God.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you already on my team. I ain't got to recruit you.
Yeah.
I need to go after this over here who being led the right way and see if I could get them to go astray and if I could get them hooked and addicted to this other life. And but what he don't realize, what he does realize, what humans don't realize when we going through it, is that if God had already marked us and called us, we gonna come back. You gonna come back and you're gonna be used for the kingdom and for his glory. And what God does, and this is why I try to get people to understand, you could come on here and say, I murdered over 10 people and I stopped counting. The human heart will be shocked for a moment and be like, wow. But they still will be glued to every word you say from then. Humans are curious.
Yeah.
And they just want to hear you talk. So that's why documentaries and the powers that be have found this out. They got documentaries. We sitting there watching serial killers tell us how they did it. We not sitting there like, oh, I hate your guts. You the most disgusting thing in the world. I'm finna break my TV. We sitting there making the producers rich.
Yeah.
We want to hear the story of the serial killer, the story of the rapist, and then we go to sleep to it. We literally go to sleep to rape and murder,
Yeah.
forensic files,
Yeah.
all
By the
that.
dozens.
So it's like people have to stop being afraid to tell their story because guilt is of Satan, grace is of God,
Hmm.
liberty is of God, captivity is of Satan. So it's like that's why God told us Moses was a murderer, David was an adulterer, Solomon was a fornicator and adulterer, Saul was a murderer, Paul was a murderer. God changed his name. The only one perfect in the Bible was Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's why God say he was the only perfect one and he will forever be the only perfect one. And that's why he died for our sins because the rest of us going to be imperfect.
Yeah.
So no matter what you did, bring it out, confess it, talk about it. And one thing my daddy taught me is he said, Tony, you could tell what you did without spelling it out. So you could say, you know, one night, I was with a young lady and things got carried away and it got out of hand. Things went further than what I wanted to go. Things got physical. Now, a person associates that to what they have seen, what they have experienced. If all they've been is pushed by a man, that's what they're going to picture. If they've been choked by a man, that's what they're going to picture. If they've been slapped or punched by a man, that's what they're going to picture. So it's going to be a personal association. And they living and they breathing. So they're not going to look at it like, oh, wow, you are the most defiled, worst, disgusting human being if they see that you righting your wrongs by living for Christ and sharing your message and you trying to help as many people as you can help. So honestly, even though with me telling my story of being a womanizer and sleeping with over 100 women by the age of 21, I still have millions of women who support me online because they see the work that I'm doing. They see that I'm not still doing what I was doing 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
They see that I've been on a 20-year run of purity and doing it the right way. And so I really didn't crank up my brand until I hit about 31. At 31, that's when I said, okay, I'm 10 years removed from the worst time of my life. I wasn't 10 years removed from every mistake, but I'm 10 years removed from the most promiscuous time of my life. And then I was slow rolling. But I still was like, I want to make sure that I get further enough, far enough from sin, from willing, repeated sin, so that even the woman that I sinned with, her heart is healed. Because I broke up with my ex 2006, I think it was. Bruh, she was on the Shade Room comments in 2012 talking about he's a fraud. Like, child, ye know me since I've been doing this. But she was calling me a fraud from when I was a drug dealer, abusive boyfriend, and a womanizer when I was with her.
Yeah.
But she ain't know God. She didn't have a relationship with Christ, so she didn't understand the redeeming power.
Yeah. It's like people only want to remember you from Egypt because they still in Egypt in slavery and you in the promised land now. So they have no journey of growth, no self-discovery. They still in that same place you left them at, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that be the thing, just like, all right, Lord, use me, show me a way. And that's why I try and tell them myself, I just, hey, this is what I've learned. This is the lessons that I wish I would have learned sooner as a man, to try and help other young boys and young men who going through it, because we see the cycle of the world. We praise these things that the music puts out, and then it come back and it bites you in the butt later. But it's giving you the formulas. It's telling you what to do that's contrary to what God has commanded us to do. And we see how many people like fall to it. Like the story we were talking about the other day with the young man that went on FSU campus, and how many other stories like this where our young men, our young boys and girls are just so lost and deranged. So, but bro, I
Right.
think this was a good, man, a really good episode. I really hope that a lot of fellas tune into this and take some game away from this and can look at Shannon Sharpe's situation and see like you right here at like your peak level, and then the devil comes and just try and snatch it right from you. Whether this $100 million deal is confirmed or not, it just goes to show you like, man, you really gotta stay squeaky clean. That's why you gotta move a certain way. Even the other day, just for me, bro, I went on Sunday. I went and grabbed. I went to the steakhouse by myself, and there was this waiter, beautiful waiter, and she just kept like eyeing me, and she was coming by. She wasn't even my waiter, was coming by, just like, you need anything? Can I get you anything? And I was just like, dang, like I was like, let me just get her number. But I had to ask myself in that moment, Caleb, like, what are you looking for? Like, what would be the purpose of this? Like, do you see something in her that says this is a wife, or is this just lust? Is this just
How
physical
old how old
attraction?
did she look?
She looked to be probably about like 24, 25.
Oh, okay. So I mean, of age to be working there, appropriate age to be working there. Could have been 34 because it's not, sometimes we don't age with ourselves.
Right, right.
And then, and that's what I think about too. Like, I think about classy women and how they move
Yeah,
and how like they could see you and think you attractive and go the opposite way. Like they almost run from you
yeah,
the way
yeah,
you got to chase them.
yeah,
And so I always think about if a woman keep coming up to me or she keep trying to be seen by me or she keep that let me know she a chaser, she promiscuous, she don't know her value, and that ain't what I want.
yeah,
And so that's the thing to where I wish I could create a school for men online to teach them how to read a Jezebel.
right,
Because a lot of guys just don't have the experience because they never was in that position to be
right.
chosen just based off of their looks. Like
Yeah,
before money, before fame, just having the girls in grade school.
yeah,
I was in grade school, in middle school, and I remember sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade. This girl, Raquel, used to come to me every year. Tony, you gonna be my boyfriend this year? I remember one time coming out the locker room in the sixth grade, a eighth grader say, Tony, come here. Showed me her nails. She had painted Tony on her nails. She had her nails painted like red, and then in blue it was Tony. He didn't know the girl like that. And then I remember sixth grade getting a letter from a seventh grade girl I was dating. She said, it's time for you to get on the bus and ride home with me. It's time for us to have sex. I'm in the sixth grade. I ain't lose my virginity till the ninth grade.
yeah,
But because I had known what it was like to be liked by girls my whole life, I had a lot of experience. So I was able to see even from childhood how the difference between, and what I noticed is the women who did that, the girls who did that, they either was violated and so they was turned out, or they was unattractive. But any girl who was like beautiful and she had not been violated, she would almost treat you like you was Casper the Ghost.
Right.
And you got to go to her. It ain't
Yeah.
like you can't get her, but you got to chase her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it be look, oh, Tony, you gonna be with me? No, not gonna be with you. It's like, no, child. And
Yeah.
so that's the thing. And that's why I want women to understand, like, you approaching a man, you shooting your shot, you telling him and the world that you ugly.
Ugly
Even if you
easy.
pretty.
Yeah. Easy.
Even if you pretty, that's ugly behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing. And you easy. And a lot of women don't understand that, what that mean, and they preaching that and promoting that. Oh, shoot your shot, shoot your shot. No, you don't. Don't nobody
And
want
they
that.
saying that from the mind of a woman, not understanding the mind of a man. And man, it makes so much more sense to me why the Bible says, "He that findeth the wife," because it's hard trying to find. There's plenty of women out here, very few wives, you know. And like you said, bro, it's a social awareness and a level of social intelligence that some people don't get, or they get later on in life, and then it consumes them. So the girl that didn't really get much attention in high school, but then she glow up in college or after high school, and now she getting a bunch of attention, and now her social circle is a lot smaller or different, and so nobody's really giving her game, saying, "Hey, just chill out. Like you don't gotta be, giving every guy your number. Like you don't got to be all in every guy face." Or the guy that he go to college now and then he losing his virginity the first week because it's his first time being in a situation where it's more beautiful women than it, like the ratio to men to women.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a lot, bro. It's needed, man, on both sides. I think men and women struggle with that social awareness of dealing with the opposite sex. And like,
Mm-hmm.
granted, we both understand it and have it. And it's not something I think to be proud of, but it is a level of intelligence that does need to be known. And I talk about this in Purpose Lab with my group, with the ladies. I'm like, hey, like, listen, when you're out and about, like, yeah, your eyes say a lot. Like, if you staring at a guy and giving him too much, like, you're giving off that you're interested in him. Every time you look his direction and y'all lock eyes, you are cueing that, hey, I'm interested in you. And
Mm-hmm.
so much, man. But yeah, I think that's a good conversation to have. But
I'm telling you, bro. So yeah, man, that was a good one, bro. And we
it
probably have to
was.
do a part two on it, because it's a lot that could be touched on. And I'm glad that we was able to touch on this today. And anybody listening, don't take offense to us, having what they call locker room talk, and just talking man to man about our thoughts and feelings, because everything that we say is coming from a pure and honest place, and we just being transparent as if we not on the world wide web. So you really
Yeah.
getting to see everything that we would say if nobody was listening. And sometimes people take that privilege for granted because they so used to being lied to and deceived and not getting unadulterated truth. They used to this, watered down and, properly processed and presented truth that got a blanket over it, versus, men of God being open and honest about our thoughts and feelings, failures, shortcomings, mistakes, and all of those things.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate it, man. Good talk. Good talk. I needed this, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, and we'll be back soon. Peace.
All righty.